The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyro Media Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
Hey everybody. Welcome to this episode of Nicoledvick Live. It is already June and I'm sitting here like, what happened? I'm Nicoledvick. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. So, the title of this episode is Unveiling the Beauty and Intricacy of Life. I can't even talk. When the roses flower in June. So I got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about Miss Tina Turner. We're going to talk about Juneteenth. We're going to talk about the word performative and a whole bunch of other things. I hope all of you are doing well. It is officially June. I don't know what's going on, but it's gloomy as heck where I am. I know about June gloom, June gloom, and then it gets real hot. But I think in my head, even though I understand June gloom, I feel like, oh, it's for real gloomy. Like I don't know. Hopefully things come around in July and get a little brighter, a little warmer. Because this ain't it. Especially for Los Angeles. Like, come on now, Los Angeles, you know better than that. But I'm kind of feeling like maybe the gloom is here because we lost a giant. Literally a giant. Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? Is gone. She has had such a huge impact on Black culture throughout her career. And as you know, we all know, her influence extends beyond music and reaches into the realms of fashion, empowerment. Listen, when I think about pushing through, that Tina Turner, okay? She broke down barriers for Black artists. I also feel like she was the spokesperson for you go at your own timeline, right? So, she was real big back in the day with Ike. And then her second sort of wave of success, she was in her 40s. And so this idea of it never being too late is like true story, like, because she did it, right? She has left an indelible mark on Black culture and the music industry as a whole. She has a powerful voice, her energetic performances. I was watching her and I was like, I see Beyonce, right? So definitely left influences on the next generation of performers, right? She had that soulful delivery that inspired generations of Black artists. Proud Mary, yeah, Proud Mary, keep on burning, hey. When I was coming up, it was What's Love Got to Do with It? And then you remember that song, Simply the Best. Hey, yes. She broke stereotypes. She defied societal expectations. As a Black woman, she faced immense challenges and discrimination in the music industry. And despite that, she rose to prominence and became an icon, proving that talent, resilience, and determination can overcome racial and gender barriers. Now, she was also stylish. Hey, she had a bold and unique fashion sense that has influenced Black culture and fashion trends. Those outfits, the sequins, the high heels, baby, them legs. She embraced her sensuality and showcased her confidence through her fashion choices. I was looking at some pictures. I feel like I saw something around her and Bob Mackie, the designer. Like he really, was inspired by her and put her in all these really fancy outfits and things. I'm like, go ahead, girl. Her personal life journey, including her relationship with Ike Turner. Listen, side note, I just watched an interview she did with, was it Gayle King? Even at that time, it had, so many years have passed. She still got emotional talking about that. So it just kind of shows you the impact of those negative relationships and that trauma. Like she's still, even in the good place that she was in at that point in time, she still had an emotional reaction to sort of talking about back in the day. So, she had this tumultuous relationship with Ike. That solo subsequent success that she had by herself really served as a testament to her resilience and empowerment. She overcame adversity, that whole idea of pushing through. She left that abusive relationship. Very scary, right? A lot of people have to do those kinds of things, and it's not an easy thing, but she found her own voice. And I think that resonates with a lot of us as Black women. Like we are inspired by that, like this idea of, you know what? This is some crappy crap that didn't happen. I got to get up and I got to move forward, put one foot in front of the other, sometimes leaving everything behind, but I can make something for myself, right? She was really big on philanthropy and activism, supporting various charities and causes, human rights, domestic violence, and women's empowerment are things that were really important to her. So she had a huge impact on Black culture, and I would say she really had an impact on the world. So I don't even want to, just kind of narrow it down to what she meant to us. She meant a lot. So I don't want to, minimize that, but I feel like she even had a global impact that will not easily be forgotten. So please rest in peace. And I know she is at peace because toward the end of her life, she had made that decision to be peaceful, left the country. She wasn't even here no more. Like, bye. I think that's also something that maybe she trailblazed. Like, I don't want to be here no more. And she just left and went to another part of the world and was just fine. So I'm like, maybe all strive to be like Tina. I hope she has a safe journey to the other side. I know she was a very strong believer in Buddhism. And so I don't quite know what the afterlife looks like in their belief system. But whatever that is, I hope she's there and is at peace and happy. All right. So with the new month comes new observances. The first one is Pride. June is Pride Month. And I was like, where did Pride Month come from? So I did some research because that's what I know how to do. The Library of Congress says that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Pride Month is currently celebrated each year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan. The Stonewall Uprising was a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. In the U.S., the last Sunday in June was initially celebrated as Gay Pride Day, but the actual day was flexible, according to Library of Congress. In major cities across the nation, the day soon grew to encompass a month-long series of events. Today, celebrations include pride parades, picnics, parties, workshops, symposia, and concerts. And LGBTQ Pride Month events attract millions of participants around the world. Memorials are held during this month for those members of the community who have been lost to either hate crimes or HIV/AIDS. And the month is really to recognize the impact that lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals have had on history, locally, nationally, and internationally. So I say to you, happy Pride Month. I've never been been to a Pride event. Shame on me. And my daughter mentioned she wanted to go to one, so we may venture outside, y'all. I don't be going outside. I just go to work and then I come back. So maybe this year I'll go outside to a Pride event, and get to hang and have a good time. So happy Pride Month, everyone. The second June holiday is Father's Day. Woo! On June 18th. Now, according to the Father's Almanac, people assume Father's Day and Mother's Day was like something that the greeting card companies made up so they could make money off of us. I mean, I would think that. I feel like you're not wrong if that's what you think, because it do kind of feel like that, right? But it's not true. So there's a couple of sort of ways that people kind of feel like Father's Day kind of came up. So some attribute the first Father's Day observance to the 1907 West Virginia mining disaster that killed 361 men, and 250 of those men were fathers, and which left more than 1,000 children without a dad. Grace Golden Clayton, whose father was killed in the tragedy, suggested a service of commemoration to the pastor of her local Methodist chapel, but it never really kind of like caught on. So, okay, that's kind of one sort of, oh, maybe that was it. But 2 years later, a woman named Sonora Louise Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington, heard a Mother's Day sermon by Reverend Dr. Henry Rasmussen in her hometown church and thought a similar day should be set aside to honor fathers. Her own dad was a single father of 6 children. And so what Dodd did is approach the YMCA and a ministerial association kind of with her petition, like, hey, can we do this? And she got a lot of support. So the first Father's Day celebration was in June 19th, 1910 in Spokane, Washington. Pastors and folks spoke and kind of, yay. Now, the first U.S. president to celebrate it was Woodrow Wilson in June of 1916. And so he opened the church services by telephone. So he actually called over. He called over to Spokane, Washington from the White House and said, hey, how you doing? Happy Father's Day. And so he liked the idea so much that he pushed to make it a national holiday. He had just made Mother's Day official in 1915, but members of Congress resisted, fearing that it would compete with Mother's Day. First of all, you can't compete with Mother's Day, baby. But I'm just saying, and commercialize the day for fathers. Well, I mean, that was accurate, causing more harm than good. But Dodd said, listen, I'm going to keep pushing through. And she spoke publicly to fathers, took her, her mission on the road. And she was met with hard criticism. There's some documentation here that says, according to the Spokesman Review, they laughed at her and said they didn't want a Father's Day. A National Fishing Day would be better, they told her. And then so there was even more hurdles over the years. In 1924, President Calvin Coolidge urged states to observe the day nationwide, but he did not want to make an official proclamation for the holiday. And at one point, they was trying to combine Mother's Day and Father's Day, into Parents' Day. Even the newly formed Father's Day Council, that was put together by men's clothing retailers, couldn't get the holiday recognized by 1938. So it was just like, I guess it was a struggle. Maine's U.S. Senator Margaret Chase Smith at the time had her own thoughts. Either we honor both our parents, mother and father, or let us desist from honoring either one. But to single out just one of our 2 parents and omit the other is the most grievous insult. Like, what are you doing? Finally, more than 50 years after Dodd did all the legwork, Father's Day was recognized as a holiday to be celebrated on the 3rd Sunday of June by President Lyndon Johnson, his executive order in 1966, but it really wasn't officially recognized until 1972. It is so crazy. Listen, right quick. Sometimes when I start to read about how certain holidays happen and start, it always boggles my mind. I'm like, wait, Father's Day? I always assume that it's been around forever. And I'm like, it's only been around since 1972. I was born in 1978. So Father's Day is like a Gen Xer. That's crazy. I didn't know. Last but not least, the day after Father's Day is Juneteenth. So I did some searching again. Of course, I know the Juneteenth story, but I was like, let me look it up. In the Boys and Girls Club of America had something on their website that was really nice. In 2021, Juneteenth became recognized as a federal holiday in the United States. Hey, got the day off. Sorry. See ya. Out of office. For some Americans, it's a new holiday, right? For some of them. But for the rest of us, we was already knowing. So what is Juneteenth? Again, I know, probably you know too, but just in case somebody listening, they don't really know what's going on. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared a formal end to slavery in the United States. However, back then they did not have social media, they did not have cell phones, they did not have Facebook, they didn't have none of that. So, it took a minute. They did have mail, right? Was the post office around by then? So it took time for the news to get from one place to the next. So nearly 2.5 years later, on June 19th, 1865, the enslaved African Americans of Galveston, Texas, finally got the news by way of the Union Army troops that freedom had come at last. Now, I don't know why it took 2 years now. Somebody was trying to get an extra crop harvest or something out of them before. You know what I'm saying? There's a little conspiracy there in my heart that I feel like somebody was playing. The next year, the people of Galveston commemorated that day as Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom. And since then, it's been observed in communities and states as a holiday, but officially recognized as a federal holiday in 2021. It's called Juneteenth. It's a blend of the month and day of the event, right? June 19th. So it gets, we like to do stuff like that. Juneteenth. So hopefully y'all enjoy your Independence Day. Okay, because July 4th is not my Independence Day. My family was still in chains. So Juneteenth for a lot of us is our Independence Day, right? Let me know what you're going to be doing on Juneteenth. Drop it in the comments or send me a note. Let me know how you're going to celebrate. Hopefully it's some barbecue and some good food. I need some vegan barbecue. Y'all know where some good vegan barbecue is? Because, I don't eat no animals. But anyway, hope y'all have a fabulous Pride, fabulous Father's Day, and a fabulous Juneteenth. We about to head out into commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some more stuff. Hey.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station.
All right, and we're back. So, a recap. Last week on Nicole Vick Live, I actually ran the rerun of the episode that we had done earlier in May around abortion as a public health issue. I felt like it was good to kind of rerun it because there was a lot of great information. And as I had mentioned before in that episode, there was a lot that I did not know about some of the legal aspects of abortion access. And it was a good opportunity to hear from my co-host and expert on such things, Dr. Nomsa Kalfani. And we also had Dr. Jamila Harris on, Jamila Powell, on, and got to hear a lot of great information. But we realized really quickly that, wait, we hadn't even gotten through half our questions. And so we're going to come back next week, June 8th, and have a follow-up conversation. But if you missed it, it was a really thought-provoking episode that delved into the multifaceted issue of abortion from a public health and a social justice perspective. And so we really talked about history of abortion laws, where things are as they stand right now, who has access, what happens if you don't have access, and what really is important for folks to know about, well, if we restrict abortion laws, then we're actually going to make it a situation where people with female reproductive organs that are pregnant, that want to terminate their pregnancies, are going to actually put their health at risk and even their lives, right? So we're going to have a follow-up episode. Stay tuned for that. It was very informative. I learned a lot. And I just want to make sure I bring that kind of information to you all, because even if you live like where I am in California, where abortion access is still here, it's still important to understand what's happening. And I will also say, even if you are a person that is like, oh, I'm not having any more children, or, I don't believe in doing those kinds of things to myself, but I still understand that people need access. You still need to understand what's happening, because as Dr. Kalfani said, okay, first it's abortion access. Next, it'll be birth control. And then it'll be something else like gay marriage, or, all these other things will start to become removed. They will start to take stuff away. And just because you think, oh, this has nothing to do with me, I don't care. But one minute you turn around, something that you do care about could be taken away. So it's really important to pay attention to what's happening, and be informed and vote and help other people get access to voting, and understand what the issues are. All right. Okay. Now over on social media. Hey, social media, my second home. That's my second home, y'all. So on LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn. I actually didn't really consider LinkedIn a place to kind of be, scroll around and stuff. But again, as I've said many times before, how you curate your feed makes a big difference. So when I go in there, I'm learning stuff. I'm like, what's going on? What? Ooh, I didn't know that. Wow. Opportunity to learn, to get new information, to share resources and stuff. Really, really great stuff. So as y'all know, I'm working on this doctorate degree. Almost done, y'all. I have a year to go. A year to go. A year from now, I will be Dr. Vick if I get this thing together and stick to the program and stay on schedule. I have chapters 1, 2, and 3 written. I have to defend my proposal, right? So literally say to my committee, hey, this is what I want to study. This is why. This is the evidence. Can I do that? And they can say yes, or they can say no. They don't usually say no unless you just tripping like that. And so I'm at that point in my my journey, and I'm really excited about it. But anyway, I am studying the psychological safety of Black local health department employees. My argument is that Black local health department employees are not psychologically safe, which means they cannot bring their full selves to work. They cannot make mistakes. They cannot ask questions without some sort of cost, some sort of repercussion. And so I'm trying to study that. I'm looking at health departments across the country, not just locally, across the country. I want to talk to folks all over the United States case, to see what their experiences are, and get those narratives and those stories. Yes, data, surveys, and that kind of thing is important, but also getting the narratives are also really, really important. Like, what are the stories and the experiences of people? And let's hear about that, right? So as part of that, I've been, of course, researching psychological safety. And I found this book written by Dr. Timothy R. Clark. It is called The 4 Stages of Psychological Safety, Defining the Path to Inclusion and Innovation. And let me tell you, a couple weeks ago when I found this book, thank goodness for the USC library, because you get the full content, the full content, right? The full book online. So I'm scrolling and I'm reading and I'm like, oh, my colleague, my classmate is like, child, are you all right? Because, I'm sighing, I'm throwing stuff. I'm like, oh my God, all these, I'm just having a moment, right? Anyway, Dr. Clark says, there are 4 stages in psychological safety, just like the title says. Inclusion safety is the first one, sort of like people ultimately want to be accepted for who they are, period, how they present in the world. Accept me as a human being who is trying to, make it through life. So when you come to a workspace, first, yes, you want to be accepted as a member of the team, right? That's doing whatever the job is. But then you kind of just like, can you see me for who I am and accept me for that? Right. And so there's a lot of navigation and sort of back and forth in how organizational culture is and who decides to grant you that safety, inclusion, safety. Second one is learner safety. Right? Can I learn? Can I make mistakes? Because I'm going to make mistakes. I'm new here. I don't know. I'm going to make a boo-boo. I'm going to do something wrong. But am I safe to do those things without being, hit on the wrist, thrown outside, like, it's like, it's okay, right? It's okay. You're new here, you're learning, even if you're not new, it's okay. I mean, we're a human, number one, and we're adults. We're going to make mistakes. Like, it's okay. Right. So that safety around being able to learn and make mistakes without sort of being punished for that. The next one is contributor safety. A lot of times contributor safety comes from sort of your level of expertise, right? So you know how to do a thing well and you get that respect and that autonomy, additional responsibility, the promotion, the, awards. So can I come in here, get this subject matter expertise and be rewarded for that in some way? That's contributor safety. And then the last one is challenger safety, baby. Can I push the envelope? Can I tell you that what y'all doing ain't right? Can I say, well, why we doing it like this? Why don't we do it this way without, again, fear of punishment or harm in some way, right? So those are the 4 stages that he highlights. Now, again, I'm reading this thing. Now I'm reading this book. I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I'm like, woo! So here, this one caught my eye and I made a LinkedIn video about it. I think I shared it on TikTok. It says, what happens when a team grants a measure of permission to contribute, but little respect? So think about that. Say you're in a workspace and in the organization, your manager says, okay, you can contribute to this thing, but we don't have a level of respect for you, but we want you to work. We want you to contribute. So what it says is, in this case, the team falls into the gutter of exploitation, a condition in which the leader attempts to extract value while not valuing those who create the value. Hello. He talked about exploitation, a condition in which the leader attempts to extract value while not valuing those who create the value. You hear me what I say? Somebody asks you to contribute, to do the work, but they don't respect you. That is exploitation because they're taking value from you, but not valuing you, the person that's creating the value. Now, he says, taken to an extreme, this is slavery and the sweatshop. But there are everyday examples all around us in the form of shaming, harassing, and bullying behavior. You would think it would incite a populist revolt, and yet people routinely endure this mistreatment out of fear of losing their jobs. Child, I need a something to throw. Because you know how when you at church and in the choir and you just want to throw, I need to throw something because it's crazy. It was so many gems in this book. I actually think I'm going to buy the hard copy. Because there was so much in there that was valuable. And it made a lot of sense in relation to what I'm trying to study for my dissertation. Because I think especially people that work in social service, public service, social workers, case managers, public health professionals, you may have permission to contribute. They want you to be the workhorse, but they don't value the person that is creating the value. Like, hold on. Huh? What? So check that book out. It's called The 4 Stages of Psychological Safety by Timothy R. Clark. I saw it on Amazon. You may be able to get it like an audio book or something like that. I'm not really sure. So that's my LinkedIn. I love it over there. I follow Vonda Page, Tammy Triolo, Elizabeth Liba, a lot of folks on there that are talking about psychological safety. They're talking about Black women at work. They're talking about all kinds of very, very informative things. So yeah, check me out on LinkedIn. On Instagram, I'm still sharing my nail look of the week. I'm getting better and better. I'm not in that nail art competition no more. I don't know what happened, y'all. I was in 9th place. I had all these people voting for me, even strangers. I had hijacked a post about somebody else voting for somebody else and put my stuff in there. I still was in 9th place by the time. I said, well, what happened? I don't even know, child. But that's all right, because I really am so grateful for all of you that voted for me. It was a really fun thing to try, and I'll probably try it again. And I'm going to keep doing my nails. I mean, I ain't going to stop doing that. So stay tuned for that as I grow and, progress in that. Speaking of that, I did redo my nail studio, or part of my nail studio. I had all my regular OG nail polish on like these little display shelves. I got tired of it. It got dusty because all the dust from my e-file. It was just a lot going on. And I was like, I just want to hide everything. I want everything away. So I found a dresser on Facebook Marketplace. I wanted one from IKEA, but it was $200. I didn't want to spend $200. So I went on Marketplace and found one for $50, and we made it work. Boop. So it looks so nice. You can check that post out on Instagram as well. Now, I keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying it. If you want to see the real me, come to TikTok. I will admit I haven't been posting as much on TikTok. Just a lot going on right now. We'll talk about it later at some point, but it's a lot going on. So I do my best, but I'm not always present on TikTok, but that is the space where I feel like I'm most myself. So check me out there. Last few weeks, I've been talking about a few things. So one thing I did talk about is seeing things for what they really are. When I teach, I haven't taught in about a year now. I really focus on teaching or talking to people and helping them see the world through a social justice lens, like literally putting on a pair of glasses and seeing the world for what it really is. And the TikTok I made was like, y'all, once you see things for what they are, you cannot unsee it. You can't help it. Like, you can't go back to like, oh, I don't see it. It's like you will always see it. Once you learn what's happening, you will never, ever unsee that. And I think, of course, that's why Florida and other parts of the country are banning books, and they don't want to teach Black history, because once you see how things really operate and the mechanism and the machine that really, keeps this country running and what it's built on, you'll be angry all the dang on time. So I talked about that. And got some really good feedback from folks on that post. Like, yeah, you right about that one. I'm like, I know. Another really interesting post that popped up. There was a woman, a black woman on a flight, and she was sitting next to someone on the plane. I think they were palm colored, and they were texting, and she could see their text. I guess they had their font real big or something. I don't know. But anyway, the comments that were being made in that text were racist, and just really bad. And I think for her, I watched the video, and then I was reading sort of her comments in the comment section. It took her a minute. She sat on it for a minute like, But she spoke up, and she said, I just want you to know I saw the messages that you were sending on your phone. And I just want you to know that you're disgusting. And I want you to feel just as uncomfortable as I feel right now sitting next to you. And he apologized. And she said, no, don't apologize. You're apologizing because you got caught, and I can see what you were texting. But I just want you to know, I think you're disgusting. And the emotion, in her voice. And I'm like, that, she didn't have to do that. She shouldn't have had to do that, but I'm glad she did. For once, like, you need to feel uncomfortable. I have to live in this body, this black body, and endure this kind of stuff for once, for 5 minutes. I want you to feel like shit because what you did is shitty, right? And so, I saw it kind of go viral, got shared a couple of places and stuff. And I don't know, I think it was just a sort of a good counter narrative, thinking back to sort of some of the stuff I'm studying in school, a good counter narrative to some of the stuff that we are seeing a lot of lately. The last thing I'll talk about, the word performative. It's a great word because it really describes stuff. It's I don't even know how to characterize it, but I'm like, that's exactly, when you hear the word, it's like, that is exactly what the hell it is. It's performative. Everything performative. So today's lesson is about performative allyship. So there was a snippet of a video a friend of mine had posted. I guess Target had just did something wrong. And at the time, I didn't quite know what had happened. But the video was of a woman saying, this is an example of performative allyship. And my response or stitch to that video was, that's why I don't like people self-identifying as allies. I don't like it. Don't do that. Don't do it. Let the impacted population, the affected population, decide if you're an ally or not. Stop walking around here, I'm an ally. Because what happens is when the heat get too hot, oh, no, you the first one to run out the door. You gone. We don't want that. That's performative. You're only an ally when it's comfortable. And that's a horrible thing because a lot of us, we are uncomfortable all the time. Ask the LGBTQ community if they're comfortable. They're uncomfortable all the time because the world is unsafe for them. It's unsafe for me as a black woman. So this performative allyship, when it's only convenient for you, nobody wants that. We don't want that. And so going back to Target, I said, well, what Target do? Because Target usually is good about certain things, but something didn't happen. And so what happened was Target kind of pulled back their Pride campaign. They moved stuff to the back of the store or took stuff out of certain stores entirely. They removed certain items from their stores, specific items. And so it just kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And again, it's that whole idea of performative allyship. No, man, that ain't it. That's horrible. Dr. Yaba Blay, I talked about this in the video, said, I don't want allies. I want accomplices, because an accomplice has an invested interest. They're in the seat next to you, about to go ride out. Let's go. They're not worried about, oh, the heat is hot. Oh, I'm scared. No, they're right there. That's what you want. We don't want allies. We don't want performative ones either. Okay? So follow me on social media. All my handles are the same, Nicole D. Vick. All right, y'all. I'm going to see you next week. Dr. Calfani will be back. Dr. Powell will be back. I think we may have another guest. You'll see when you see. I'm so excited. We're going to continue this conversation about abortion access. Learn some new things. As always, follow me on my website, www.nicoledvick.com. If you need a speaker, a trainer, MC, you can fill out a form and I'll get back to you on that one. And check out my podcast episodes, check out my books, all sorts of things on my website. All right, y'all. I'll see you next week. Bye.